Hi, and welcome to this episode of Finally Fabulous. On this episode, I talked to my really good friend, Amanda. Amanda is a seize-the-moment, wonderful example of a woman. She is totally inspirational. The thing that really strikes me is that Amanda is living with MS, which we talk about in the episode. But it's not that defines her. It's her work. It's her passion for giving back to the community. It's about her family, her kids, her amazing tribe of friends that she's known for gazillions of years. We have lots of laughs, we have enjoyment, but we really talk about the serious stuff as well. I really hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed interviewing her. Hello, Amanda.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, I think.
Well, let's see how it goes. There's always the edit process. So Amanda, for me, is an absolute force of inspiration. And you are a seize-the-moment, wonderful example of a woman. That's how you come across to me. And lots of people who know you and love you for everything you are. You've had a tremendous life already. You've embraced everything that life has thrown at you and a lot more. And I'm just really privileged to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So we have some really amazing things to talk about today, and just going through some of the highlights of your life. But some of the things that really bring you to your fore and bring you joy that you've talked about before are around your books and your reading and theatre and some of your hobbies.
Yeah, and friends.
Yeah, and friends being a massive part.
Yeah.
Just talk to us a bit about what theatre and concert and those kind of hobbies mean to you.
Well, I've always enjoyed live theatre and music and concerts. When I was growing up in Stoke-on-Trent, I used to get really cross as a teenager that I wasn't allowed to go to any gigs because for some reason my parents didn't want 14-year-old me travelling to Manchester or Birmingham by myself to go to those.
Can't imagine why.
I kind of get it now. It took me a long time to understand. So I always wanted it. So when I was able to, I used to go to quite a lot of things and kind of really enjoy that. And then now I've got MS and I use a wheelchair a lot of the time. Actually, theatre's one of the things that's pretty easy to do. Most theatres try really hard to do that, and they have reasonable deals on, so you can do it. So it's something Robert and I really enjoy doing, and we try to get up to the West End at least once a month to go to the theatre. A really broad range of things. We'll go anything from cheesy musicals to Shakespeare to some random thing that's been advertised that's got an actor in that we think might be quite good. And
love that.
We learn a lot, and there's a lot we have the same, and we indulge each other.
And then you mentioned your tribe, and we have talked a lot about how important family is to us, but not just family with our actual relatives, but also our community of family from our friends. How have those people kind of been there quietly supporting you in the background for all of your life?
So, I mean, my actual family are brilliant. You know, my parents, my sister, obviously Robert and the children. So everything else I say about friends is kind of very much in that background. But most of my close friends I've known for more than 30 years, which makes all of us feel old and terrified even saying that. So, people I met when I was at university and immediately afterwards, and they were, my 30th birthday, my 40th birthday, my 50th birthday, they were at our wedding, they were at our 25th anniversary party. And there's this core group of people that really are like family. And we've been through a lot together collectively. Over that period of time, you've had jobs, relationships, illness, bereavements, and we would drop anything for each other if we need to, and I have for them and they have for me. And I think that is so precious. So having that safe space and somewhere where you can really be yourself and you haven't got to worry about anything, I think makes a difference. And actually probably the fact that, I suppose quite a long time ago, a lot of the things we did together were kind of slightly less public. So we'd be a lot in each other's houses and all of those sorts of things. So it really cements. Yes. I think it's really cemented that bond and kind of really supporting the actual person that you've known forever since they were a teenager through something. That helps as well.
That helps. And I think that when you mentioned safe space, I think it's really important to be able to be ourselves, just truly ourselves, because we do put on different faces and we do put on different images and everything during the day, and whether we want to believe that or not. Of course we do.
Of course we do. And actually, Lisa says lots of really nice things. And on one hand, I'd like to think they're true, but also people know what we share, don't they?
Yes.
And what we tell them, and social media is great for staying in touch and telling a story. But again, it's just that.
Yeah.
Whereas the friends are the ones that really know what's going on, and you don't have to feel, embarrassed, so that you can't say, I'm really struggling, or I feel awful, or this is really difficult at the moment, or I'm really frightened about this, or whatever. And having a group of people you can just say that to without worrying that they're going to judge or share it, or and somehow they always know how to get the right balance of just listening and supporting and helping you solve a problem. They know when you want actual help to solve it, or when you just want to download and rant and do all of that and
shout and scream and cry and all those things.
And when you've known each other a long time, you instinctively know what you need in that space. And I think that's really important. as well.
It is important, and to be to just allow that support to come back, to allow that reinforcement that it is okay, and this isn't unlike you, or it's not like that person to behave like that. So are you sure you're taking it in the right way? And just giving you that second advice, really, that second opinion on something that you're really struggling with. So we want to really talk about the fuck it moment, because that's what we're here today to talk about. So we've just touched on some of the moments of joy through your life, but we are going to talk about that. We've touched on a couple of the defining parts of your life as well, but we will definitely talk about those more as well. But the biggest fuck it moment in your life, and there seem to be quite a few when we talked about it before, but there's one that you've really brought to the fore.
Yeah, there are a few sliding doors moments, but I think the really big one was, so not terribly long after I left Prostate UK, I was very lucky and I got the job as Chief Executive of the Institute of Fundraising. I'm a fundraiser, I'm a really proud fundraiser. And I thought it'd be amazing to represent, my sector, my profession in doing that. And it was quite a high-profile role. And I'm still a massive fan of the Institute of Fundraising as well, and I'm still a member, just to say. But the job wasn't quite what I thought it would be. The chair resigned on my first day in post, which wasn't what I was expecting. And it just became something that was very different. And I was missing a connection with a cause as well. And I thought at the time, and in some ways it's true, that would be the biggest job I would ever have. And there was a real internal battle about, do you battle through? Do you work out, where the sweet spot is, for what the Institute needs and what I thought it was and what will work for me and what I can do? Or do you just recognise that actually this is a great organisation and I'm quite good as well, but the matching for these roles just doesn't work. And I made the decision to just say this isn't working, and
how did you get to that decision? Did you pull on your tribe?
I definitely obviously I talked it through with Robert, because that was kind of quite important before you walk away from a job, because we do need both of us to be earning some things, so we had conversations about that. I had dinner the weekend before with two of our close friends came over, and we were talking a bit about that. And I also had a conversation with a really close friend who talked me through it, and we talked a little about what I was going to do, and him telling me to just fucking do it. His language was great as well, this sort of thing, and did that. So I did, and I went on the Monday morning. I'd arranged to meet a couple and I resigned, and I just walked away. And that was it.
And did you feel so building up to that actual decision? Obviously, you're surrounded by people who are probably confirming the decision that maybe you'd almost made yourself. But was there like a gut feel that this definitely feels right for you?
It was definitely the right thing to do. I wasn't worried about whether leaving was the right thing for me or for the organisation. But what I was worried about was what happens to my career next. But rather more importantly, I don't know how I'm going to earn money.
Yes. Well, and it actually happened to me, because I was actually made redundant, but I was on the way to leaving the last job I had. And that definitely forces your hand. And it's one of the reasons why I've set up the podcast, because I'm like, here I am, finally fabulous. I've made that fuck it moment to set up my own business and make it work. But at the time, it was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
It's just trusting. There was a little bit when I applied for the job that, is this for me? But I think I got so caught up in I wanted another job. And the pride in kind of representing the organisation that you've been a member of for a long time, that I probably didn't listen to those inner questions quite enough as well. So I think that's the other reason why I would say it was the defining one. It was listen to your gut is right, trust it.
Yes.
Trust it a little bit more sort of thing.
But you and I both experienced, I had cancer when I was very young, and you've experienced a not life isn't fair moment, in your life as well. And for me, the story around how you found out about that was really incredible. Yeah. And I would like you to tell us about it.
So I went to see, I had a lovely summer holiday, been down in Cornwall with Robert and the children. We'd had my sister-in-law and her children had joined us for 1 week, and friends had joined us for the other week, and been down there with my godson and his brother and that sort of thing. And I've been playing a lot on Nintendo DS, which shows how old I am now, with the children. And I was getting real numbness and pain in my hands, and I just thought I'd been trying to be a cool aunt. Your godmother a little bit too much.
Too competitive.
But it didn't go away. So I went to see the GP, and I was kind of expecting to tell me it might be a bit of carpal tunnel or something like that, or to give it a bit longer. But instead they told me to go and see a neurologist.
Right.
So you're trying really hard to think, that's fine, it'll all be okay. And you go and see the neurologist, and the neurologist does a couple of tests and looks at a couple of things and said, want to send you for an MRI and for a brain scan. So you think, okay, well, that's probably not great. I've worked in healthcare charities, and I'm not going to let you, I know what questions to ask on that. So I said, okay, so what I know why you're doing the tests. I know you do it to rule things out as much as to rule them in. I know if you could give a diagnosis now, you would, all of those things. But ultimately, what sort of things are you thinking? And I can remember him looking at me a bit and kind of judging how honest to be and where it would fit. And he says, well, we really don't know. But he says the moment, brain tumour, multiple sclerosis. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. And actually, that meeting was on the night of my first job in my first CEO role.
On the night of your first CEO role.
So I went from my first day as a CEO to see the neurologist who told me that. So that was a little bit of extra excitement to go in. And I think I had the scan on the Saturday. I had the choice of having it on either Friday or the Saturday, but I didn't really want to take time off in my first week. So I thought it really isn't going to make that much difference. So I went on the Saturday, and then I had to wait till the following, not the Monday after, but the following week. So I had to wait. So it was a fortnight effectively from when I'd seen him to get
any diagnosis,
to get the results and to be and
that
to be told,
waiting time.
That was interesting. It was really tough, and actually I had to go, had to travel, I had to go to Manchester for overnight in that waiting time. And again, my tribe lives up there, so they were brilliant. And they knew what was going on, so I was so that was really important. And I get told it's not a brain tumour, but it's highly likely to develop into multiple sclerosis. So they don't give you a diagnosis of MS straight away. It's quite a complicated process, but they said that's probably what it's going to be. And so for me, the first time MS was mentioned was better than the brain tumour.
Yes.
Much better than the brain tumour, quite frankly. In that sense, it was actually okay. Now, don't get me wrong, I was not happy to be told that was what was going to happen, but it was a better of the alternatives that I'd been thinking. Now, I know so many other people who've gone who've done like I did in the first bit and think it might be carpal tunnel or they've got a problem with their eyesight or whatever, and MS just comes in straight away. So that's a body blow. For me, it was the better of the options. So, there are many times when I have railed against it and hate it and it's not fair and why me?
Of course.
But I think having that initial bit of, it's only that.
You hold on to that. Have you held on to that?
Bit. So there's I probably only was aware that I was thinking like that a bit later on when people are kind of saying to me, oh gosh, and I'll say, yeah, but it's not a brain tumour. And so it's only then that you realise that that was what that was. And then really, when you have something like that, you have literally two choices. You either give into it and just stop.
Yeah.
Or you just carry on and do what you can.
And that is not in the makeup of Amanda McLean.
Quite boring, wouldn't it?
It would be boring.
I really couldn't see myself
boring
sitting at
home.
I couldn't see myself just sitting at home and doing and all those sorts of things. So I just keep So you keep going, and life is different. Lots of things probably the same, but lots of other things are different. Things socially are harder. If I look much further ahead, because I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon, but I do wonder what that'll be like, because a lot of people plan, quite exotic travel and all of those sorts of things. I can travel, and we do, but it won't be the same.
Yes.
With that sort of thing, I probably won't be able to look after, a grandchild completely solo and kind of doing that. So,
but there's good things around that as well, I think.
As well, potentially. They're right. And also, I think one of the reasons why I enjoy my job so much, I'm good at it.
Yes.
And I'm very proud I can say I'm good at it. But also, I can do it. It isn't impacted by my MS at all. And often I don't really like taking time off by myself. I love having time with family and friends. I'll happily do that. But actually, by myself, I'm quite limited to what I can do by myself. I can go into town. I can do that. I can't do a grocery shop by myself. I can do it online, but I can't do it in person. I can pick up a nice few bits for a nice supper, but I can't go and do the boring weekly shop in person. I won't travel somewhere that I don't know well without either having somebody with me or having somebody meeting me at the other end. So there's something, I'll go into London quite easily, but I'll only go either if someone's meeting me or if I'm in rolling distance of Waterloo or an Elizabeth line.
Yes,
because I know I can do that.
You can
I'll
make
only
it
go
work.
and stay overnight somewhere if I've got Robert with me or if there are people I know well there. So I'm going to the Air Ambulance conference and dinner in a few weeks. That's fine. I can do that because some of the other CEOs are really good friends. And I hardly ever need the help.
Yes.
It's
But
not
you
a
just
big
have
deal.
to be
But being realistic.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be sensible to put myself in something like that where there was nobody that I could call on. I remember going to a dinner staying overnight a couple of years ago, and the room was lovely and it was a nice accessible room and get round. It was impossible to open the door to get in and out of the room by yourself in a wheelchair without any help.
Oh gosh.
So I had to phone one of my colleagues to open the door every time I wanted to go in and out. And it's just silly things like that you have to plan around. So spontaneity's gone largely. Sort of thing, you can't plan, you can't just decide to go, and I'm very aware of pavements and cambers and dropped curbs and all of those sorts of things. Or people say, oh yeah, no, it's really accessible. There's just a couple of steps up to.
That's madness.
Now, I probably could do a couple of steps up, particularly for something to hold on to.
That is madness.
But my wheelchair definitely can't do a couple of steps up to get somewhere. Of
course not.
So it just makes you think. So I use Google Maps, like when we're travelling abroad and I'm booking hotels abroad, I email them and I literally get them to send me photographs and dimensions before I'll make a booking.
Right.
So we know it'll work. So yes, it makes you do things differently.
So you don't feel you can be spontaneous, as you were saying.
It makes me, I'm much more risk averse than I used to be.
Okay.
Because you just have to be realistic.
And you have to be sensible.
Sometimes can be frustrating.
Yeah.
And I don't relapse terribly often. I'm touching lots of wood at the moment.
Yeah, of course.
But if I am having a relapse, I need to be sensible and recognise that I just need to slow down for a bit. So I'll work part time for a couple of weeks and I'll get somebody will step up and do that.
Yeah.
Or and I avoid work really hard not to get ill and managing that because it's effectively as soon as I'm ill, then my immune system fires up to fight the illness. But MS is where the immune system attacks the nervous system.
Okay,
so as soon as my immune system's really active, my MS goes to pot. So my mobility instantly takes a dive if I'm fighting anything off. So I'm quite cautious about those sorts of things, which is particularly irritating to Molly and Henry sometimes. What we'll do or where we'll do. But it's just a new normal and you just adapt to it and you just do what you can.
Well, I mean, I think that's inspirational for everybody to hear because, the way that you managed the diagnosis, the way that you took that information on board and have said, right, okay, I just have to deal with this now and get on with it. And my life isn't going to change apart from being less spontaneous and more sensible. And there are things in my life that will be different. Yeah. But it's not going to stop me from doing the things.
I mean, there are times, that particularly in the earlier stages when I was having different treatments, where I was in hospital a couple of times having those, and again, travel across London and after work and visiting me and doing that. Or there's usually someone online at 3:00 in the morning if I can't sleep. I largely refuse to take steroids now because I dislike them so much, but and they don't agree with me. But so I absolutely will rail against it. And I will feel very low. And there've been more than one occasion when people have had to really almost bully me into going something or doing something or leaving the house because it just seems easier not to. So although most people don't see it doesn't happen often. But, there are definitely moments of that, if you're to ask somebody, our closest friends or Robert or whatever, Molly, that they definitely would have, they've definitely seen some of that. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's just a reality of any situation like this. And I think, the strength that you have around, it's okay to feel like that, but it's hard in the moment. Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. Anything like that, it's really hard.
Nobody can be upbeat and positive and glass half full all the time. Sometimes you just need to, I just feel shit and this isn't fair. And I'll be fine tomorrow, but right now I just need to wallow for a little bit. I'm just going to give myself 24 hours to wallow and feel sorry for myself. And that's
and
the
this
thing.
is what's happening, everyone.
And then come out. I'll be fine. There's when I started using the wheelchair after I started the job I've got now. And fairly early on, while we were going through the transition process to become independent, and a couple of utterly brilliant colleagues, and we had a shorthand in the end, and it was bananas. Because it's how are you doing? And I don't keep wanting to say, well, I'm not having a great day. Yeah. I'm not really in pain. I am okay to be at work. There isn't anything you can do to help at the moment, but I will let you know if there is. And you don't want to keep repeating that all the time. So sometimes I go into work and how are you doing, boss? Bananas. And it's just a really silly thing, but it helped so much. And knowing that was there sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that without anybody being remotely patronising or anything like that, there's just a little bit of an extra eye out. And you can ask for help if you need it. And I've been very lucky to build. I probably have whatever I've built a tribe at work as well as at home around me that I can that I can do that with, and just say it's not a great day. Or in exactly the same way as if everything at work is overwhelming, because everybody has that sometimes.
Yes, of course.
You've got lots going on and you think your brain's going to explode. I've now learned...
I had that 2 weeks ago.
I've now learned it's perfectly okay to say, actually, I'm leaving early today. I'm going home to find my perspective. And I actually say those words. And particularly if lots of people are wanting things. Before you go, if you're going to ask me a question where you don't want the answer to be no, I'd wait till tomorrow if you can, because I'm going to find my perspective. Because that's it.
I love that.
If it's a genuine emergency, obviously that's different. But genuinely, and I'd do it, probably no more than once a year. Right. But again, just having it's okay to do that. And it's also okay for people to know you're doing that. Because if people know the boss does it, they know they can do it.
Yes. And I was just going to say that.
And the modelling, I think, is really important. And I believe massively in that, whether it's to do with being in a wheelchair. It took me a while to be happy to be interviewed or have a photograph taken in a wheelchair.
Yeah, of course.
Because I had to be comfortable with it, but I do now.
Great, that's good.
Or admitting when you don't know the answer, or where you need to I need to find out about that, or I need to find my perspective. I think it's really important. Not all the time, and not being all over the place. People have to have confidence in you. Yes. And your leadership, but nobody knows everything all the time. Yeah. So actually admitting that, most people don't think they can be something they can't see. There's always some pioneers out there, but most of the time, most people don't think they'd be something they can't see. So actually, why wouldn't I be a CEO in a wheelchair? Yeah.
And there's been, some situations that you and I both experienced that just by being a woman has made things very tricky, or actually flabbergasted in some instances. And you told me that you'd had another instance just recently, but in your role as CEO, have you come across those? I mean, instances?
Most people, just to start off, are great, and it really isn't relevant. But it still happens. When I first took the job, there were a couple of occasions when, both in a social situation where I was with Robert, and then in a work situation where my brilliant deputy, who is bloke, were at, and on both occasions they knew they were going to meetings or social things, and they knew we were meeting the new Air Ambulance CEO. Both occasions they assumed it was the man.
Gosh,
never even occurred to them it would be. They just went to Robert and went to Adam, sort of thing. And
wow,
on both occasions, they both. Well, that's fine. You can talk to me for Amanda's the boss, yeah. So Amanda's the CEO sort of thing. So
That's incredible,
that
isn't it?
was still happening. Yeah. And I do come across still, and I don't even particularly like the term mansplaining, but it's definitely still there. And there's definitely people that think I can't talk about running a service with a helicopter because I'm a woman. There's thousands who are perfectly fine with it. It wouldn't even occur to them, but it does still.
It still happens.
It does still happen. Yeah, and it actually makes me quite cross if I think about what things were like when I was starting out in my career, and it shouldn't be like that for Molly and Alice and their generation starting out. And some things are definitely a lot better, but other things just aren't.
No.
And that's not okay.
It's not okay.
It really isn't okay. And I almost wish I'd been more campaigning and more vocal about it earlier on, because you just sucked it up and got on with it. And I would say pick your battles. I don't think there's any point in anybody about anything always calling everything out all the time.
No.
Or very rarely. And we try and I never say never or always. There you go. But generally speaking, you do pick your battles. But I do actually wonder if I should have spoken out more often, sooner, and if a lot of us had done that, whether it would have made a difference.
I mean, potentially, but there's on both sides things have to change, and you could say that also lots of men who are in and are allies now. They could also do more.
And that's a big thing. It's one of the things I've talked to Henry about a lot. It's not just enough for you not to behave, because of course I know you wouldn't behave. I genuinely, I know, but if your mates are doing it, you need to call them out. You don't need not to do it yourself. You need to call them out, because there's only so far you can go otherwise.
Exactly.
And the progress you can make. So like any real societal change, it's got to be
both sides.
Both sides. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it solo.
And you had some really good tips, I thought, about around this, particularly around you talked about like not mothering, being careful not to mother people. And
one of the best bits of advice I was given about taking on a kind of being a senior woman, even before I was CEO, is when you're in meetings, and you've got people getting drinks and that, and you say, "Oh, shall I be mother?" Or never offer to get the drinks or pour the tea. If you're the as a woman in the room. When it's a group of people you meet with a lot and they know you well, then that's completely different. And of course you take your turn the same as anything else. But if you're I would be, even now, but particularly earlier on in my career, I'd be the only woman in the room. I had never offered to be the one that gets the drinks or pours the tea. Always. Or when they're saying, we're going to get some drinks. Or, yes, please, mine's white without. But just yes. And it felt quite forced at the time. Yeah. Actually, I think it was a really good
way of.
Sad it was needed, but a really
it's
good
sad
bit,
it's needed, but
a really
just
good
simple
bit
things
of
like
advice
that.
in terms of how you do that. And just be very matter of fact about it. You don't need to make a point at all. You just be very matter of fact about it.
Point. Well, let's hope that things do improve and things do continue to get better.
Yeah.
So it's been a fantastic conversation, and what I would like to talk about now is just some of your fabulous takeaways and
really
your
hard.
kind of tips for people. So we've talked about a lot of areas on resilience. We've talked about being yourself and allowing that to be fine. It's okay to not be okay sometimes, and wrap yourself around the people who know and understand that. Is there anything else that you would say to people?
I think authenticity is really important.
Authenticity.
I think people can always tell when you're not being authentic, and that means embracing your flaws sometimes as well and acknowledging them. I talk too much and I talk too quickly.
Yeah,
I do, but I just do.
Yes, I also
and
talk too much.
when to. I know when it's important to moderate it. So I think being authentic is important. And I picked up a lot of that from kind of watching people as well, and through my career, and I've had some real privilege to see that, and admitting when you don't know, picking your battles.
So do you feel like you've found your joy now again? Do you feel like you are in a finally fabulous place?
Yeah, no, I think I am.
Yeah.
I love the job I've got. I love my friends. I remember actually we last Christmas, just before last Christmas, that again, the tribe and a group of really close friends, we decided that just before Christmas we'd all get together We all have a fantastic Christmas with our families, and again, generally speaking, all very lucky with that. But it's nice just to come together. And so we found one of these hotels that does these party packages. And you book a table and you have that, and there's it's all laid on for you, and there's some nice cheesy music on the dance floor, and you can stay overnight and all that sort of thing. And we did that, and we booked it, and we were all together last year. And I remember just partway through that evening looking around and just feeling, I don't know whether I call it pure joy, but I just had the right people there in the moment, and it was all lovely. And doing that, we're now making that an annual thing. So I think, having that and being able to see those people who are so special, and then go on and have Christmas with family and do that, and have a job that I love. It's not always easy, but I love it, and I love the people, that I work with. I think I'm in. I was so nervous, tempting fate, but I'm in a pretty
fabulous,
good place at the moment.
Fabulous place.
Finally fabulous, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on the podcast. Your story has been inspirational, and I know there's so much that we also could have talked about. So it's been a privilege having you on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.